G'day everybody, my name is Elliot Waters and you're listening to the Dysregulated podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. Today's episode, I'll tell you what, I've just got to get something out there. I just got to get it out there. This episode has no structure to it. I'm just riffing, and I'm doing that because the last 3 days I have tried so hard to get podcast episodes out, and I just haven't been able to do it because they haven't been up to my exceptionally high standards. But the problem is, well, the thing is, usually when I do episodes, I'll do a couple of drafts and delete a few, and then eventually I'll get it right, or at least right enough, and then we'll upload it. But I'm not getting it right. And I think it's because cognitively, my processing speed is slowing down. My mind has slowed down a bit. I find myself stumbling over words and not having the right words to say. And my memory's really on the blink at the moment as well. And it actually makes sense. You look at the medications I'm on, lamotrigine in particular, I think could be causing a lot of this. I really do. Very well known for memory deficit issues with lamotrigine, and anecdotally, at least from people I've spoken to, processing speed appears to be a bit of a problem as well. So, okay. So this is where we find, we've got trade-offs. Life's all about trade-offs and opportunity costs and all that sort of stuff. And this is a great example because my mood is pretty good. I wouldn't say we've had many depressive spirals down. We've been anxious, but able to work through it, voluntarily walk up to the plate and go, right, what is it that's making me anxious? I'm going to take you head on, and that's great. Like a month ago, 2 months ago, that wouldn't have been happening. So that's really good. But the problem is it might be to the detriment of certain other aspects of my psyche, which is disappointing, especially when you put so much emphasis on things, I don't know, like being sharp and witty, I suppose, and speaking well. That's a really core sort of competency of me as an individual. And if that starts to falter, well, I don't know, it feels like we're in a bit of trouble. So it's those trade-offs. Mood's pretty good, but we're slowing down a bit maybe, our processing speed. What do you do? Well, what I'm deciding to do is I've got to keep going with what we're doing with the medications, even if it does slow me down a little bit, which, look, let's be honest, it probably doesn't. It's probably my perception of things have changed because my anxiety is amplifying, the little mistakes that I make, and the inner critic is starting to lose its hold on me. So it's really, pumping on things that aren't even logically wrong, but it still tries to say that it is. Does that make sense? Anyway, so maybe this is more of a perceptual problem and my inner structures of my psyche are on the blink and maybe creating something out of nothing. I'm not sure. But definitely the perception that I am getting is that we're just not as sharp as we normally are. But at the same time, we're a hell of a lot happier than we used to be as well. So, we've sort of got to stick with it. That's the plan. And that brings up another interesting point, which I'm going to do another episode on when I can get it out and, talk properly. And it meets my standards, is the trade-off with feeling nothing versus feeling too much. So another thing that the medications are doing, essentially what I wanted them to do, a couple of months ago when we were really bad, I just didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to feel, because the negativity that I was feeling was so strong that, the option to feel nothing was a great option. That's essentially what we've taken. So there's another trade-off there because I'm not feeling things like I used to be. And that's a problem too because I'm a very emotional person, as we know, for good and for bad. But the good stuff, the emotion drives me to do, certain things that maybe other people wouldn't do, like make this podcast, for example, and, the passion and stuff that I show. That's a real, again, core competency of mine. So right now we've got two separate issues, but very similar. One, which is my processing speed seems to be slowing down. I'm not as witty and smart and cluey as I used to be. I feel like it anyway. And then the second thing is we're not feeling the range of emotions that we used to. And in some ways that's good because the negative stuff isn't coming through anywhere near as much. But at the same time, the positive stuff isn't coming in as much either. And it's those positive moments that really drive me to do special things, I think, and really makes me unique as a person. And, I've probably taken it for granted, but all of a sudden these two issues have popped up. But at the same time, it's like, okay, there's two problems there, but what's the good stuff that's happening? We're not having suicidal ideation. We're not thinking that the world's hopeless and that we've got no chance and that, we're going to be alone forever and all those negative things. We're just not thinking those things much at the moment. So that's great. So hopefully, given time, the side effects around memory and processing speed as far as the medications go, hopefully over time that will lessen and the positives will stay, and the benefit, which is essentially that our mood has lifted so much. So that's great. So anyway, that's what I wanted to get out today on this episode. I want to get something out there because you guys are, I want to give you material. So that's what I've done here today. Even though we're just riffing, but that's okay. We've got something out there. Very happy. But yeah, two separate problems, the processing speed and the not really feeling anything problem. And it's not good. Anyway, not to worry. So thank you everybody for listening. I'm so glad I got that done. I hope that made sense and I hope I was clear enough. Unbelievable. So thank you everybody for listening, and I will see you next time here on the Dysregulated podcast.